What's up, squad? It's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, story that caught my eye today is really diving into what the heck is going on with Iran and Pakistan. This is a very interesting region of the world because this is sort of where the Middle East starts to meet South Asia. And you get these two group of people, the Indo-European and the Indo-Aryan, butting up against each other. So what has happened is earlier in the week, Iran took the initiative and bombed three countries: Syria, Iraq, and Pakistan. So the aggression obviously caught the world by surprise, but understanding Iran and how they operate, one can understand this is a country that is under intense scrutiny, sanctions, and pressure. And the fact that they're a major supporter of a lot of regional players reflects on how they see themselves in the region as a leader and a decision maker. So these three different attacks were actually unrelated to each other. It was kind of Iran catching up on some past grievances. There was a bombing committed by ISIS that occurred at a commemoration for the former leader Soleimani, who was assassinated in theory, was assassinated under President Trump by American forces. Now that was claimed that attack was claimed by ISIS. So that goes to the Syria attack. Iran found some ISIS player in Syria. Remember, Syria is still kind of fragmented now. Bashar al-Assad is still the leader of the country, but it's still a fragmented country due to a lot of the civil war that went on. So Iran had attacked in Syria. They attacked in Iraq, and Iraq has kind of been a victim. I always say, worst foreign policy adventure that America pursued was the toppling of Saddam Hussein or the invasion of Iraq, and that continuously proves true because Iraq now has fallen under the fiefdom of Iran. And before, America was able to balance the scales with those two, and now Iran kind of see Iraq as its property at the moment, as the big brother. Now, I expect a lot of great things coming from Iraq over the next century, but at this moment, Iran is still the major player, and it has its hooks in Iraq. Now, the bombing in Iraq was because the Iranians also think the Israelis have their hook in Iraq, and supposedly that bombing was related to spy stations that were operated by the Israelis inside of Iraq, which from the latest news is saying the Israelis are saying that's not true, but Iran felt otherwise enough to send out missiles. The third bombing, and I think this is really interesting. With Syria, I kind of understand, and Iraq, I kind of understand because Iran is so involved in these countries. Iran was a major supporter of Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and so I know they have a strong relationship. And it speaks to Iran probably not trusting the power structure in Syria to deal with these ISIS players, and they probably wanted to get even with these players directly to show how strong they are based off those terrorist attacks. The attack in Iraq, same thing. Iraq supporting Shia militias, Iraq supporting the primary Shia power structure in Iraq, Iran supporting them. Iran is once again proving their suzerainty or their supremacy over Iraq by attacking those Israeli stations in Iraq. Now, this third one is really interesting because this is dealing with Pakistan. Now, as I said, this is where Middle East meets South Asia. Pakistan and Iran, I won't say they have the best relations, but they definitely don't have the worst relations. Two neighboring Islamic countries, they get along well enough, and neither one of them can basically get along with the West too long. Now, the attack from Iran into Pakistan is considered preemptive because there's a region where Iran meets Pakistan, and it's a separatist group, the Balaks, and this region is called, the separatists consider this Balakistan. And these people, whenever I see a separatist group, I always wonder, why are they a separatist group? What makes them think they are different? Why are they not in congruence with their neighbors and feel as though they need to separate? A great example of this is, what really is a Palestinian? The Middle East is full of Arabs. Where do you say I am an Egyptian versus I'm a Palestinian? Um, or where do you say I am a Jordanian instead of a Palestinian? And ironically, I think a lot of Palestinian identity is just as much bound and wrapped up on the existence of Israel as any historical reference. The closest I can find to any historical reference delineating, and this is even the Gaza Palestinians as opposed to the West Bank Palestinians, which are neighbors of Jordan, and which was basically in the fold of Jordan throughout their history in the past. But it is primarily this opposition of Israel that really highlighted the Palestinian people. Many people would say Palestine always existed, but I would say, who referenced great Palestinians of the prior to the establishment of Israel. I found a revolt against maybe their Egyptian overlord, but a lot of Palestinian history before Israel really consisted of, in the Arabic history in the region. Now, that's neither here nor there, but what I am trying to say is that there is always this delineating factor. Now, the Balaks, their delineating factor is their they're split between Iran and Pakistan, primarily Pakistan side. But what you're seeing is, or this where the separatist activity is major coming from, which Iran felt has had to bomb. But they are a Persian group operating, and being a Persian group, they're going to be Shia. So it's they're going to be Sunni. So they're a Persian group. So that kind of goes against their difference in how they see themselves against a more, you would say, different ethnic groups of Pakistan. Uh, your Punjabis, your Pashtuns, etc. These are a Persian group, but they're not like Iran because they're not Shia. They're not like mostly Persians, which are Shia. They are Sunni related, which is in congruence with Pakistan, but incongruent with Iran. So they kind of have this little area where there has been a lot of, or it's a hotspot for terrorist activity. Now, they're not a major population, only percent of the Pakistan population, but they're enough of a population to cause problems. There was supposed to be some infrastructure built through there, and even the Chinese were like, we don't trust these guys. We don't trust what they'll do to our infrastructure, and they shied away from investing in that region. Great geography is right there where the Asian continent, you look across the Asian continent, where do you see the oil-rich Persian Gulf states? So it's a great a region geostrategically, but because of these separatist activities, it is a hot spot. Now, the reason why this is really interesting is because these are two relatively powerful countries. You can see the geopolitical aspirations of Iran, but Pakistan is no pushover. It may seem that way because it's always being shrunk by its larger neighbor, India, which is a behemoth in the world's most populous country. But Pakistan is nearly three times the population of Iran. So what you see, oh, and on top of that, on top of being three times the population size, it's also a nuclear power. So Iran, seeing itself as the major player in the region, the big brother, goes in, sees a threat, culminated, take preemptive strikes into Pakistan near its border. Obviously, Pakistan sees this as a slight. Now, on a media purpose, there was no big hoopla made out across the globe. But what happens? Pakistan trades their strike for another strike. And Pakistan immediately responds shortly after with a strike on Balak separatists or Balak groups within the Persian side of the border. So these two countries just went head to head. Now, I think this is going to draw down quickly because these are two countries that places like America or the West or India, they're not upset to see these two fight. It takes you back to the old days of Iran, Iraq. Nobody's their antagonists are not shy about these two tussling it up because obviously it's nothing good going to come nothing but good will come from it from their point of view. So I think Iran and Pakistan leadership are both mature enough to like get a lid on this quickly. But what was really interesting, one was what we call sunning, or kind of the lessening that Iran tried to play on Pakistan. And I know what it was. I think same reason America went into Pakistan to get bin Laden. A lot of people don't trust the leadership structure of Pakistan, and Iran probably felt as though they left it up to the Pakistanis. The threat was as imminent and dangerous enough that they could not trust Pakistani authorities. Conversely, Pakistanis are not going to feel that way, and they're going to see a foreign power bombing their country, and they responded accordingly because they used the same excuse that Iran did, a tit for tat. So it was the aggression, I think, that stood out, kind of a manic aggression on the side of Iran to act so aggressively into a neighboring country, a nuclear power. They bombed a nuclear power, more or less. So this shows you that Iran is feeling itself in its strength levels, and it's obviously slightly insecure to have this level of aggression, which is not a slight, just an observation. But I think it's definitely going to leave some bad blood within Pakistan, and we'll definitely see how these relationships unfold. But this is very interesting events unfolding in this part of the world. Love to hear your thoughts. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.